Welcome to Personal and Professional Best, May 2018. I want to extend a warm welcome, of course, to the Supreme Southeast Associates. I also want to welcome friends and family members who are traveling and journeying along this way on our Personal Professional Best. And finally, I want to extend a very warm welcome to our customers, to our realtor partners from South Florida to Charlotte, North Carolina. Thanks for taking the time to be here today. And I have a treasure opportunity for all of us. He's a guy that I've been fans of for my entire career. I admired when I got out of school everything that he had done, because in my heart, etched in my heart, was the idea that to build a business as a relatively average guy, I was going to need to find an opportunity to do something I was passionate about. And for me, I learned from my father that customer service is something that everyone can do, and everyone can be great doing it if they decide to put their heart into it. And so it made it easy when I was looking around for companies whose blueprints were around customer service to find, well, I was in Atlanta, one right here in Atlanta. And my friend today, Horst Schulze, has joined us. Horst is the co-founder, one of the founders of the Ritz Carlton, which is a legend in the world of customer service. Really, no company has set a standard in the last generation that exceeds what Horst and the team at the Ritz Carlton has done. The organization won 2 awards, Malcolm Baldrige Awards, given by the federal government for excellence. And they are very, very difficult to win. That is one, yeah. But to win 2 is something else. So, my friend Horst Schulze, welcome today.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Yeah, great to have you. And what we asked Horst to do is to come. We're all in the business, obviously, of customer service, whether it's in real estate or whether it's in mortgage banking, or if you're a friend and family member doing something else. Actually, we're all in the business of service at home as well, with our family and our relationships. So I asked, and with our neighbors. So I asked Horst today to come with a specific interest, really just to share all of what's on his heart, what he's learned in his considerable experience in the world of customer service. Let me start out by asking you a question. I shared just a minute ago that it was my dad who raised myself and my brothers. We had our family was broken up, and my dad had to take responsibility for really being a cook and a coach and a cleaner and doing a lot of other things that he wasn't necessarily skilled to do, but he did just an amazing job in customer service. So he was the person in my life that impacted me. Who or what impacted the way you approach business, your passion for customer service?
Well, obviously, we are all the creation of impacts that we had through our lives. Somehow we adapted something here and something there. Clearly, in the very early years, parents, in my case, most my mother, because my father, frankly, was in the war. I was born in 1939. By the time I was 2, my father was gone. He came back when I was 7. So my mother had a lot of influence, my father too. But I left home when I was 14. I was begging, for some reason I wanted to work in the hotel business. Nobody knows why. Because at that time in Germany, you became some technical job, electrician, engineer, architect, roofer. All that would have been very honorable. But working in the hotel business was not honorable. My parents, in fact, were embarrassed in the beginning. But finally they found a job for me in the best hotel in the region, but it was 100 kilometers away from home. So with 14, I left home, worked in that hotel as a busboy. I was made well aware this is a hotel where we could never go. Only very important guests can go there, very important people. I was told that by the manager, general manager, when I got there. But then when I started working, our maitre d', the manager of the restaurants, was an exceptional human being. He impacted me dramatically. In fact, he told me very early that he doesn't come to work, nor should we. Because if we come to work to do work, we're sentencing ourselves to mediocrity. If we come to work to create excellence, then it's worthwhile, then we have purpose. He talked about purpose very early, and people will perish without purpose. But we understood going to work for a purpose rather than fulfilling a certain function.
You know, Horst, most companies, well, all companies are in the business of customer service. And when asked the question, if they're asked, is your service good? They would say yes, right? If you ask the customer the same question, doing business with that company, they may not agree. When you think about, you know, defining customer service, how do you define customer service?
You're absolutely right, because people all talk about service, but they think it's something happening that will happen by itself somehow. If it's important to me, I have to have a process to be sure I accomplish it. I can't leave it up to maybe they're nice or maybe not. Well, customer service, by the way, I define it in 3 steps. The first step of customer service is a great welcome. Service doesn't stop a few seconds later. It starts the instant we make contact with the guest, or with the customer, or with the patient, whatever you call them. That instant. So, with other words, great service should start with a great welcome. Welcome. Good morning. Good afternoon. From the heart. Telling the customer with their eyes that instant, I'm glad you're here. I'm here to help you. It starts, with other words, it starts that instant. Not with words, but with the heart. Welcome. The next step of service is very logically complying caringly to the wishes of the guest, to the needs of the guest. I comply. You want to check in? Of course, I'm here to help you. And the next step is saying farewell. I mean, it's really pretty simple. But we have to define it. Welcome, it starts the instant we make contact. That instant, a very important instant, because the instant you make contact with another human being, or with another company for that matter, you make judgment. So how well do you want the judgment of your customers to be with you and with your organization that instant? So it has to start with a great welcome, and then complying to what that customer wants from you, complying caringly, givingly. And I want to always keep the word caring in there, because service without caring is not really service. It's just fulfilling a certain function. So, yeah.
You know, it's sometimes I feel like when I'm a consumer, I feel like I'm a burden to the folks that, you know, like they brought all of their life's concerns with them, and no one at the organization has shared with them that if I am a burden to them, maybe that burden is such that I won't come back. And that will affect not only their job security, but it'll affect their income and the potential that they have to grow their business.
Well, in fact, we teach you, very sincerely, you can walk, right now I'm kind of overseeing the Capella hotel company, which I created after Ritz Carlton. Capella hotel are ultra luxury hotels, small. But you can walk into any Capella hotels. Unfortunately, we have none in the US, most of Asia and Europe. If you walk into any one of our hotels and ask any employee, I mean any, you can go in the kitchen and ask the pot washer, what is their objective there? What's their objective, what they're doing? They will all answer you, I'm here to convince the guest with what I'm doing to want to come back. That's what it should be. Everybody should be there to convince that customer to want to do business with you.
So I have an interesting question for you, because we do business with, we do business with America. And sure. When I visit the Ritz Carlton, I know that you serve guests in America. Is the customer always right?
By the way, I'm doing global business. I'm doing it with the world.
Of course you are, right.
No.
They're not always right.
They're not always right. Can even give you measurements on that. They're nearly over 99%, 98 point some percent are right. When you look at the concerns that customers have and discuss, if you analyze any complaint, you will find that about 98% of the complaints you could have avoided if you would have done everything right. And then it comes a number that is new, that is an issue that is unique, that you couldn't really avoid, but you should correct. And then there is a thing, please forgive me if I say it now. You know how internally sometimes we use bad words, but we call that the jerk factor. And that means some guests want things that you just cannot do. In fact, if you would do it, you would hurt all the other guests, or you just cannot afford it. I mean, you can't do everything. What would it mean that some guests all of a sudden is complaining that the room is not painted purple? If I would paint them all purple, the rest of the guests wouldn't be happy. So there is a certain demand. Not everybody is right. It just doesn't work that way.
Most people, what I found, most people are reasonable. And
yeah, absolutely.
Going back to what you said a few minutes ago, when you care, when you show someone you care, customers usually give you more latitude in terms of the process or the service. I mean, of course, it has to be done well and right, otherwise it could have consequences to them. But for the most part, if they don't feel like you care, that's generally when people can get a bit annoyed, because they're going to spend their hard-earned money with you.
Sure.
And they simply want you to appreciate the fact that they're spending. We tell the folks that work here in the organization, the customer isn't always right, but it's our responsibility to rise above our feelings about that and to maintain a laser focus on doing what it is that we're here to do, which is to serve no matter. You know, sometimes a customer may have a sick mom with cancer. Sometimes a customer may have a son or daughter that has a drug problem, and we just happen to cross paths with them at that time.
On the way to your store, they may have just had a flat tire outside.
That's right. That's right. So
who knows?
So we don't know their story. So we have to give grace.
That's not. And it's not our business. Our business is to take care of the customer with heart, and us, ladies and gentlemen, and respect them. Each one that is across you, respect them as a human being, as a lady or a gentleman. And in fact, if you allow me to come back to the maître d', I eventually, having been told everybody is very important, every guest is very important, I soon noticed that the guest thought that the maître d' was the most important in the room. When he came to the table of a guest, you could see they were proud. We, the employees, thought he was the most important person in the room. And one day a week we went to hotel school, and after 1.5 years in hotel school, I was not quite 16, we were asked to write an essay, what we now feel about the industry. And I wrote it about him. And I entitled that essay, "We are ladies and gentlemen, in service to ladies and gentlemen." That we can define ourselves by our excellence in service as ladies and gentlemen. So
I always love that. I always love that, because what it said is that no matter your station in life, no matter your responsibility, the title you carry, the amount of money you make, you can still operate with excellence and dignity. And that's where the ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen came from.
Yeah, that's come from. So I made that the motto of Ritz Carlton. We are ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. No matter if we are excellent, what we do, unless we sentence ourselves to be less by not being excellent, what we're doing. In that moment, we are less.
Well, we talked about that before we got on air today. One of the things that we both agreed to is that neither one of us would ever retire. The idea of retirement would suggest that we've been working.
That's right. Yeah, no.
And neither one of us feel like that the things that we do every day is work. What we both do with purpose and with passion is we try to coach and teach others in jobs of service that they can be ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly.
Serving ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly.
Even when the ladies and gentlemen they're serving aren't really acting like ladies and gentlemen.
That's not our business.
That's not our business.
That's not our business, right. Unless they fall into that 1% who you cannot please. That actually goes against the rest of your market, and you cannot do that.
You know, one of the things that I found, I used to visit the Buckhead Ritz Carlton, because of course I'm from Atlanta here, so as many times as I could, I'd get down there for either events or just special events with me and Lisa, my beautiful wife of 33 years. And there was a doorman there he was actually running the front, and he had this big hat. And I remember thinking, because he was so professional and so intelligent and so graceful, and I remember thinking that you're wearing that big hat. Do you know you're wearing that big hat? Because one could think that maybe he would be uncomfortable. But I asked him at one point, and he told me, he said, my parents raised me to serve other people, and this place allows me to do it better than any place else. And he said, and everyone here, they understand that, they get that.
That was Jim. I can tell you that was Jim.
It was Jim.
Absolutely.
Yes.
He just retired.
Did he?
A great professional who the guest respect and asked for. There's another one, Abner, who there's also there since the beginning. They were there from day one. They are true ladies. They're true gentlemen, both of them. They're respected by the guest as such. Because they know, and they know they care, they know they're professional what they're doing.
Well, I want to thank
fine
you.
People.
I want to thank you for creating the Ritz-Carlton, not for folks to get served in luxury. I appreciate that too. But I want to thank you because the many, many, many service people that work in the Ritz-Carlton, they found a place that they could actually deliver their gift, their talent, and their service, and feel dignity and valued for it. So thank you for doing that.
Oh, yeah.
I want to ask a question because this is one of those things I happen to know about the Ritz, but I want you to tell the crowd about it. You gave them each $2,500 empowerment to $2,000 empowerment. $2,000. Well, there's been inflation since you left.
That's it. Yeah.
But you gave them $2,000 to spend any way they like, anyone in the hotel, to solve a customer problem.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it's kind of a fascinating little story. We made a survey, a word analysis story with people, what they want to feel in a hotel. And they always said they want to feel at home. But it turned out, the survey showed they want to feel the customer like they felt in their mother's home, subconsciously. Where mom said did everything. There was things that you didn't think about, but mom had done it. But more so, that was the key. When something went wrong, and they went to their mom and said, Mom, there's a problem here. What did mom say? Mom said, come here. Come, I take care of you. Mom never said, I call the manager. The decision was made right there. And when I looked at that and said, if something goes wrong, do we say, I'm here for you, or do we say, we call the manager? And we said, we have to say, that meant I had to empower every single employee to say, I'm here for you. If the guest complained about the TV not working to the waiter in the morning, the waiter had to say, please forgive me, I'll take care of it. In fact, I feel bad, I buy you breakfast this morning. That meant truly empowering employees, not just using the word like everybody, buzzword empowerment and all this stuff, but truly empowerment, saying, I can make a decision to make sure we don't lose a guest because of an incident. I can make that decision, and I make sure that that guest wants to come back even though they experienced a negative, up to $2,000. Now, mind you, I knew also the economics about it. I knew the average age of our guest. I know how many more they can travel. I know the potential value of each guest. I know it's worth $2,000.
But it changes the culture, right? It changes the culture because the folks that are providing the service, they know that even if we do everything every single day right, we're still humans. So something could go wrong. A television could break down, right?
At the same time, I gave the message that I trust them.
Yes.
That I respect them and
You trust their judgment.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
And as long as they know the mission of the organization and the outcomes you're looking for.
Which has to be clearly established.
Yeah. So now all of the Supreme associates are going to like me to empower them with $2,000. You know, we similarly though, and you helped me in that way because years ago, as a result of knowing what was happening at the Ritz-Carlton, we copied so many of the ideas.
You hired some of our people.
Yeah, I did. I
did. But you know, no employee ever gave $2,000. They gave things, they like their boat breakfast.
Sure.
They gave relief from, no. Or there's 4 employees in Mexico, in Cancun, when a gentleman lost the first day of a honeymoon, lost his ring in the sand. Of course, crying and looking and digging, and the more you dig, the more the ring is gone.
Right.
Those 4 employees, when the beach attendants, before it got dark, they went out and bought 4 metal detectors. They didn't ask. They were empowered to move heaven and earth to keep the guest. That was the word. And they found the ring. Now, let's be honest. If they would have gone to a manager and said, can we buy a metal detector? And the manager would have said, buy 1. And they probably would have never found it. Instead, we had $1 million worth of PR by finding the ring for this groom who were exuberant wrote every newspaper and spoke on radio and everything about the ring those 4 employees found.
So it's not only you're doing it for all the right reasons, but it's actually beneficial from a financial standpoint.
Of course.
You make more money that way.
Of course it is. And you keep the customer. If I keep the customer, I mean, for me, the most important thing an organization does, number 1, is keeping the customers that you have.
You know, it's interesting because most companies, the people that run them, individual agents, people are focused, and this is just natural, they're focused on building more business.
Yeah.
But we believe, and I know you did, because of course we copied many of the things at the Ritz-Carlton, that if you would treasure and care for those that you currently have a relationship with, that are your current customers.
And they bring you new ones.
They'll tell everyone, friends,
sure.
family, and they'll build your business that way.
Absolutely.
Yes. So I've got a question to ask you with regard to, what was the worst thing that ever happened with a customer? And when you found out, you just went, oh my goodness, and tell us about how you solved it.
Well, look,
I could tell you some of our stories.
Yeah, I can do. You have to understand, we had 25,000 employees in 14 countries around. So in the morning when I came to work, I looked what happened last night. But a funny story, when in our first hotel, which I was managing, I was in charge. I started a company in charge of operations. I wasn't an investor, I wasn't a developer. I was hired by investors and developers to run this company. So I came here a year before opening. That was the Ritz-Carlton Buckhead. Was the first hotel we opened. I came to work one Saturday, and I can never forget that one. And in the evening, I went by the hotel to just see it. And in the beginning, I came every day. And there was a new Mercedes 500, the first one I have seen, parked right against the sidewalk, right beside the entrance of the door. And I thought, the doorman put them there to show it off. And that's the good idea, and it's safe right there, and so on. And then on a Sunday morning, I decided to come in to see the buffet. And there I looked in my office at the incident report the night before. What happened? A car came and hit the Mercedes broadside and lifted it onto the sidewalk. This car, which was picked up the day before from the dealer, from a guest in the hotel. And I had to call that guest then and tell him, guess what? Your Mercedes.
Good morning.
Good morning. I hope how you feel. Guess what? Your Mercedes that you picked up yesterday, this totally new model, it doesn't exist anymore.
A free breakfast didn't solve that problem.
Didn't solve it.
Right.
So those are,
things happen.
Those are incidents that you have. And I looked every morning. What major incident happened in the company? Thousands of employees, thousands of guests. Of course, something happens. Even some very sad incidents in the hotel. Of course. So they're much worse incidents, but I don't want to touch on them. I don't want to depress anybody. I mean,
but it's true that that even the very best service businesses will have their moments when things don't go well.
Accidents happen.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we've tried to practice in our organization, when it doesn't go well, we don't blame anyone. First of all, we allow the customer to tell us how they feel. Yeah. We don't interrupt, and we don't make excuses.
Good.
And then we tell them back in return what we think we've heard them tell us that is their concern or their complaint.
Yeah.
And we don't judge whether it's right or wrong.
Of course not.
And then we move quickly to letting them say again if they're upset what it is that they're upset, because sometimes it takes 2 or 3 times for them to say it. And then we move to how are we going to resolve and make you feel better? Because we want them to know we care.
I gave you statistics earlier with percentages of customers that have a problem. By the way, 93% of the complaints we knew. All the guests want to get rid of was their frustration about something. They didn't want anything. They just want to tell. That's why, again, the first person was empowered to say, I am sorry, forgive me, no matter what it is. In that moment, often they felt even embarrassed that they complained. We started that. They want to get rid of their frustration. They're annoyed about something, and they want to tell somebody. And then if that person said, please forgive me, I'm so sorry, we will correct that, bang, it's gone. Only very few want something.
You know, you mentioned that we had hired a couple of folks years ago. I want to tell you all a quick story. Many, many years ago, when I first started in business, I was looking for a company that I admired that was in service, because that's what my passion is. And it was the Ritz. And I called and I said, so can I have the person who runs customer service? And the person who answered the phone said, we're all in customer service. So it's like there wasn't even a department, kind of. But if you would like to talk to a special person who does deal with Mr. Schulze on the most sensitive customer problems, I'll transfer you. And I was transferred to a young lady named Teresa Sanders.
Teresa.
And I said, Teresa, this is Pat Flood. I'm CEO of Home Bank. She said, yes. I said, I have no complaints. She said, yes. And I said, I would like to hire you. She said, why on earth would I leave the Ritz Carlton to go to work for, what's the name of the company that you work for? I told her, I said, because Teresa, the Ritz Carlton already is world class. We'd like to become world class. She said, that's a really good answer. You know what was beautiful? When Teresa finally decided to come and help us really take much of what you had done and export it, she told me that the exchange that she had in leaving, how graceful it was. And you know, I want to tell you that 150,000 home loan customers in my career have experienced the best and our best effort because of the work that you did and the inspiration that you created for me in doing that work.
Thank you very much. Thank you, very kind. But you know, Teresa did our customer relation. If we had a complaint, she got a complaint. She analyzed customer comments and so on, and filled me in ongoing where we are and how we're doing. And an exceptional fine lady, yeah.
Yes, she was. And Teresa Sanders, by the way, when you go to a closing with us today, if you're one of our realtor partners or if you're one of our loan officers, the customer service survey that we continue to have better than 94% of our folks, customers, complete at closing. Teresa is the person who designed that survey, and it was done as a result of the work that y'all did at the Ritz. So, you know, I think sometimes when we succeed in business, we don't necessarily, and you're doing the right things, you don't necessarily realize the impact you have on others. And I just wanted to make sure
that
you were aware of that today.
That is fulfilling when you hear that people talk the philosophy, the thinking, and talk it and believed in it and put it out there. That's fulfilling.
I'm going to finish with you now. So if I'm an individual realtor here today, maybe I do 5 transactions, maybe I do 10, maybe I do 20 or 30 transactions a year. How important is surveying consumers?
Oh, for me, you have to know your customer. You have to know your market. Otherwise, you're serving only yourself. It's not you. It's not your opinion that counts. It's the market's opinion. And keeping studying, not just once, because the market changes.
Yes.
I can give you stories about it when we did something exactly what we thought the market wants, and the market said no. And then we did what they said, and then it changed again. So we have to keep on studying. It's essential to know the customer. And the sad thing is, so many people make a study of one. They ask their mother or their friend, and they respond to that. And that direction may be contrary to what the market wants. So studying the market is essential.
Yeah, and we have, I've admired the surveying process every month here. We close approximately 500 home loans, and I read every single survey still because I want to know exactly what our customers are saying that they love that we're doing, and to the extent that there's anything that they don't love, then we talk to our operating group here, like you would know, and we make process change to eliminate any of those defects, if you will, so that they can get the very best experience that we can offer.
If you read them all, pretty soon you feel what they feel. That's more important than just know, to feel it.
Well, I can't tell you how much I appreciate everything you've done for my career.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and everything you've done really just to make a difference in business and to create a standard that is one that we continue to inspire or be inspired to deliver today. I want to thank all of you for being here today. And I want to take the time to remind you that our program, Personal and Professional Best, it's available to all of you. You can sign up by going to supremebest.com. And again, it's a simple idea. We have people put their goals in writing in 6 different areas of life: in their family and relationship life, in their health and fitness life, in their personal finance life, in their fun and recreation life, in their faith and community service life, and today in their professional life. And we hope each month that you'll join us to be accountable for the goals that you've written, but also for a day like today to be able to allow us to offer some value in your professional life so that you can add some things to your business and ultimately to grow your business to make it a better business. Horst, again,
Excellent.
Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate all you do.
It's great. Thank you.